I wish it worked like that all the time. Clerk will call the roll.
Lynn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Present.
Gary Chickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Present.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Absent.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by Pastor Randy Sheridan from Faith Creek Church in Richland Hills. Thank you so much for coming out today. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Let's bow our heads. Father, we just thank you today, first of all, for your favor upon this county, upon Tarrant County. We thank you for our school systems. We thank you for our jobs, good jobs that have been afforded to so many, and the present growth that we see happening across our great county. And so we thank you for that favor. We thank you for that blessing. We do not take that for granted. We also pray today for wisdom and guidance. We need that. We thank you for men and women of integrity that serve in a variety of capacities across our county, and especially today in Commissioner's Court. We pray your grace and blessing upon all that is discussed and takes place today. We need your guidance. We are living in a nation and a country and a society that's going to drift, that's going astray in many ways. We're living in a time when many people are disillusioned with politics and with leadership in general. And so we covet your help, your grace, your blessing. We've gotten a little confused. We're living in a society that thinks you're dead and Elvis is alive. And so I just pray that you would bring us to help us find our bearings, help us find guidance, and stay the course. And we pray for guidance and wisdom today and blessing on all that happens. And we ask it in Jesus' name. And everyone said, Amen.
Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have three items, our announcements as relates to the agenda for three particular items. Under the Administrator section, item A2, this is going to be, we're going to ask that we take action on this after we do the briefing, because we have a briefing on a similar or project that's related to this particular project, so we'll just ask that we delay that until after the briefing session. Also under purchasing, item J3, this is bid number 2018-175. We have a revised court communication in your folder this morning. We just had just one minor change on it. It was a budget-related change, an account change actually. So we're going to ask you to consider that when you get there with the revised communication. And then finally, Your Honor, when we get to approval of bonds and certificates of self-insurance, which is item number 9 on page 9 of the agenda, we do have a number of those that we're going to be asking the court to approve this morning.
Thank you, sir. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our special call meeting of November the 16th, as well as our regular meeting of November the 20th.
Move for approval.
Second.
Both of them.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have a couple of proclamations or presentations this morning. The first is a resolution that we gave to Debbie Snyder upon her ceremony honoring her for her years of service. And so that's for ratification, and I'll move its approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And then at this time, I'm going to call on, we have a presentation from the North Texas Region Veteran Service Officer of the Year Award. And I'm going to call on Ms. Laura Clark, the Director of the Wise County Veteran Services, and a representative from the Veterans County Services Officers Association of Texas.
Good morning, Commissioners, Judge.
Good morning.
My name is Laura Clark. I'm the Veteran Service Officer in Wise County, and I'm here today to present to your Veteran Service Officer, Thomas Belton, an award. Now, Tom has been the Veteran Service Officer here in in Tarrant County for 3 years. He is also a United States Marine and a Boston native. He joined the Marine Corps in 2004. He has served in Libya and also in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. This past May, he just received his bachelor's degree in business administration. At the same time, he is a single father of 3 adorable little boys. He also is their football coach. And while he's doing all that, he also, in the past 3 years, he has seen over 10,000 veterans here in Tarrant County. It's pretty impressive. He is also the Vice President of the Veteran County Service Office Association of the State of Texas. And on behalf of that association, I would like to present Mr. Thomas Belton, the North Texas Regional County Service Officer of the Year Award. And Tom, would you please come forward?
Did you only get 2? You got to turn back around. She's got to get her third one.
Oh, I have to have 3. I'm sorry. Commissioners, thank you guys very much for having me. You
Thank you,
definitely
Laura.
have a great service officer. Y'all should be very proud.
We are.
We are.
We're very proud, Tom.
Thank you very
Rob.
much for the time. And as I said when I first got here, I will do my best to leave no veteran behind. And this is a great accolade for me as a young county service officer, as a director, and great recognition from my peers around the state that made this nomination and this award possible. And I'm not done yet, Your Honor, Commissioners. I only have the best to see at the end. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I'll make a motion that we receive and file that presentation.
Second.
A motion is second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Now we come to one of my favorite times of the month, and it is the time that we get to recognize the employees of Tarrant County, and we wish that we could do a whole lot more, but we certainly want to take this opportunity to tell you how much we appreciate your service to Tarrant County for the time frame that you've been with us. And that goes, we'll start off at the 5-year mark. Y'all are the rookies. And so what I need to just say to you is I'm not real good at pronunciation. And so kind of the word that we put out here, if you know where you are in the alphabet, if you think you're supposed to be next and it doesn't sound like your name, stand up anyway. That doesn't embarrass me as much as you not standing up and then later somebody saying, well, they were here. And I said, well, they just didn't understand what I was trying to say. So stand up, and then at the end, we'll celebrate and recognize and thank each one of that group. And then after that, you can sit back down and laugh as I mispronounce the next person's name. So beginning with our 5-year employees, our first one is Dominique Christian with Housing. Morris Contreras Jr., Sheriff's Department. Patrick Felon, Sheriff's Department. Larry Gammon, Facilities Management. Fatumata Holloway, Public Health. Yeah, she's grinning. Laura Cresta, Sheriff's Department. Jane Lackey, Tax Office. Kimberly Pierce, Public Health. Ollie Polk, Sheriff's Department. Emilio Salazar, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Jessica Stackpole, Tax Office. Angela Stevens, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Laquita Taylor, Juvenile Services. Vicki N. Thack, County Auditor.
Not bad.
Yeah, well, it's, every once in a while I get lucky. Michael Webb, Information Technology. These are our 5-year employees. Thank you all very much. Now for our 10-year employees. First is Rhonda Bonner, Sheriff's Department. Irma Martinez, Elections. Maria Monte, Information Technology. Anna Marino, Elections. Jason Murphy, Sheriff's Department. Marianne Pierce, Public Health. Shannon Reeves. You're not careful, you're going to be about as red as that hair you got up there. Human Resources. Priscilla Smith, Public Health. Teresa Stover, County Clerk. And Tisha Williams, Sheriff's Department. These are our 10-year employees. Now for our 15-year employees. Charlie Akamus, Sheriff's Department. Ronald Berkeley, Precinct 4. Amy Ballstein, Sheriff's Department. Judge David Evans, I saw him back there.
All right.
Judge.
The 48th District Court. That's only because you could put them in jail if they didn't. Judge Evans is also our administrative judge for the region. Terrell Hayward, Sheriff's Department. Andrea Jacobs, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Wallace Jones, Sheriff's Department. Christopher Miranda, Elections. You ought to be in the attorney's office with a Miranda. I mean, you know, just Joe David Rufflick. Yeah. You want to say that last name? Yeah, that was the one. Nicholas Schiefert, Precinct 1. Sandra Sosa, Facilities Management. Stephen White, Medical Examiner's Office. Y'all must have been reading because I didn't say that was the last one. Y'all just made the assumption since I was turning the page. Thank y'all very much. Well, it could have been that one too. I mean, I've really come to appreciate those parents who have easy to say first and last names. 20-year employees. Robert Carter Jr., Facilities Management. All right now, folks. Robert, I am real glad you've been here 20 years, but we start this clapping every time. We're going HR, y'all started this. William Devine, Juvenile Services. Diva Gupta, Information Technology. Nancy Otwell, Information Technology. Philip Sawyer, Juvenile Services. Ronald Shipley, Juvenile Services. Noah Torres, Public Health. Beverly Wanza, Information Technology. And Michael White, Juvenile Services. Now for our 25 plus, I call and talk with each one of them and try to get a little bit of information out of them. And our first 25-year employee is Michael Floyd with the Medical Examiner's Office. There's Michael. Started in the ME's office and was assigned to Parker County, and was there and then came to the county, and he started there in 1990. He came to our county, Tarrant County, in 93, or was assigned. Started out as an investigator one, rose through the ranks, and is now the chief investigator. When I asked him about most memorable moment, he said, you know, it's in the medical examiner, it's been an interesting career. But he said the one thing that really stood out was the Branch Davidian issue, that, you know, the crisis or the disaster that happened there. And, you know, I think the medical examiner's office had just entered into an interlocal agreement with McClellan County when that happened. And he said the thing, you know, just all the stuff that you were trying to go through on that particular deal, he said all the support we got from people in Tarrant County coming in and helping and just, you know, offering any assistance they could. He said it just really stood out and it really made a lifelong impression on him. When I asked him what he liked most, he said, I really, it's one of those things where I really like all of it. It's been a great 25 years. He said, he just kind of said it's been a remarkable journey. And you know what, Michael, we appreciate very much the 25 years you've given. And as I say to all of y'all, it's been a remarkable journey in great part because of the way you've approached your job and the way y'all approach your jobs. And it makes it a great place to be, a great place to be a part of. And so, Michael, thank you very much for your 25 years. Next is Leanne Judd, Juvenile Services, 25 years. Started in Juvenile Services, actually answered an ad in the paper, and was hired by Lynn Willis. Started in the placement area, and then in 1998 moved to field operations as probation officer. When I asked her about memorable moments, and I get this from time to time with probation folks, with folks from the jail, and it's just that sometimes one of the kids will reach out and just tell her what an impact that she had on their lives and how she really changed their lives. And I just can't think of a prouder moment than when you get one of those phone calls. When I asked her what she liked most, she said it was the people she had a chance to work with. She said the chance to work with kids and knowing that she could make a difference in their lives. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, you know, I always knew I wanted to work with kids, but she said, I thought I might be a kindergarten teacher. And she said, but I'm so glad that I ended up in juvenile probation. And Leanne, we appreciate very much your work, and we're glad you ended up in juvenile probation also. Thank you. Next is Waylon Roberson, Facilities Management. He may look a little familiar.
Go Waylon.
He looks an awful lot like somebody who used to be in our purchasing department. He's Danny's son. And he started in facilities in the old Belton jail, and then after 2 weeks moved over to the Lamar jail and then to the Resource Connection. Went to Green Bay for a while, Spent some time out at the boot camp, and then in 2011 moved to the Mansfield Sub Courthouse and has been there ever since. When I asked him what he liked most, he said it was the teamwork. He said the people and the friendships he's made over the years. He said, I have, the help he's received from folks all along the way. He said, I hope to be here another 25. He said, I hate to, he said, what are y'all laughing about? He said, I hate to see folks go, but I love getting to know the new folks. As I said, his father was Danny, and he retired after 35 years with the county, and Waylon said, I can do 35 years standing on my head. So, Waylon, we appreciate very, very much your service to Tarrant County. Thank you. Kind of hoping all these pop up. Next is Carl Roberts, Sheriff's Office and Court Security, Sergeant. Started out as a clerk in the Green Bay unit, then went to jail school and became a jailer and went to Belknap, went to peace officer school, got promoted to deputy, and then moved into the classification area. Spent some time in training as an instructor and then went over to judicial where he is now. When I asked him about his most memorable moment, he said, when I was working out at Green Bay, and for those of y'all who haven't been at Green Bay, it's all one floor, it's all open. So there's cells, but they're all open cells. And I don't mean like the doors are open, but you can see in them. And he said, in 1993, Dallas was playing in the Super Bowl. And he said it was like you were there because everybody was watching it. And it was the crowd would go up and down based upon what happened on the TV. And so he said you really felt like you were in the Super Bowl. And he said Dallas won. And he said, I'm real glad they won because, everybody was a lot happier at that point in time as opposed to being mad at one another. When I asked him what he liked most, it was that everybody was working with the same goal, and that was to be professional in what they did. He said it was a great team atmosphere, and he said, and especially now in the judicial area, he said, I've gotten to know so many different people. He said, I get to know judges, and I like most of them, except for this Judge Evans. That he didn't say that. He didn't say that. But he said, I really, I meet attorneys all the time. I get to visit with the staff, and he said, I really do enjoy having the opportunity to meet with and to be a part of a lot of these judges because he said they're all just as down to earth, and they just realize they're there to help people and to make things go forward. When I ask him if there's anything else, he says, what I love so much is just as I just said, people act like normal people. They don't act like they're special. They're just here, and we're all the same. And I think that's what has impressed him the most. Carl, thank you very much for your 25 years of service. Next is William Sampson, Sheriff's Office, Court Security, also a sergeant. Is William here? He wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it. He started off at Belknap at age 19. He's now working for Judge Sorrells. When I asked him about memorable moments, he said, when 99, everybody just knew the world was going to come to an end on December 31st of 99. And he said what they had, the people in the Sheriff's Department, they had them basically surrounding the buildings to make, I guess, because one of the things they were concerned about is that the doors on the jail might open. And he said it was a cold night on that December 31st. He said nothing happened.
What did JD do? You think JD worried about that?
No, he don't have anything to worry. Right. He wasn't holding anything that had a computer in it.
Right.
Yep, he didn't worry about it. I bet he didn't lose a minute's sleep. No, probably back then he wasn't asleep. When I asked him what he liked most, he said it was the people he'd had a chance to work with. And I asked him if there was anything else. He said, you know, been here 25 years, wouldn't change a thing. So if you see William, tell him thank you for the 25 years of service he's given to Tarrant County. Next is Lance Sanders. There's Lance. He works out at Precinct 4. He's one of the project operation folks. Started there as a mechanic, as mechanic's helper, and then moved into as an operator 1 and moved up, rose up through the ranks, is now an operator 4. When I asked him about memorable moments, he said, it was the 8 years I spent on the pavement crew, and it was hot. Yeah. Now, folks, when you're on that pavement crew, you're usually behind an asphalt machine that's spitting out asphalt that's probably 300 or 400 degrees, and that's when it's already 100 degrees out there in the summer, so you can sweat a little bit. When I asked him what he liked most, he said it was the folks that he had a chance to get to work with, and he said it was the benefits that the county provides, both the health benefits as well as the retirement benefits. Lance, thank you very much for your 25 years of service. Okay, maybe we're going to find this last one. Okay, and I know she's not here. Carolyn Johnson from County Criminal Court number 6. She had another obligation that she had committed herself for. She started out with the district clerk's office and then moved over to CC6, County Criminal Court 6, when Judge Jones was elected. She said, I wasn't sure I was going to make it through the first day. She said it was, and you know, but just remember, it wasn't Wilder because Wilder wasn't there then. I could have understood that. I thought originally, oh, you had to meet with Tom that first day? And she says, no, he wasn't there. She never thought she would be here this long. She has 3 grandkids, 11, 5, and 2, and she lets them decorate the Christmas tree. And I just thought, yeah, boy, that would be an exciting moment. I remember I know our 2-year-old, and I wouldn't let him anywhere near the tree. He'd run the tree over. If you see Carolyn, thank her for her 30 years of service for Tarrant County. Now, that represents a total of 715 years of service. We cannot begin to tell you how much we appreciate the way you present yourself, the way you treat the folks who come before you, and for whatever reason they're coming before you. You just make Tarrant County what it is, and so thank you very, very much. There are refreshments back here in 504C. Head at it. Have a great day. I make a motion to receive and file the employee recognition.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Hayes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have one item at this time to present to you. On item A1, we're requesting that the Court approve interim funding or financing for the anticipated FY 2019 Run-Wide Part C Outpatient Early Intervention Services Program. If this contract is currently being completed, 60 days worth of funding is $167,751.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And, Your Honor, we'll take up item 2 at the end of this meeting.
Okay. Ms. Tidwell.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have 2 items that we're asking the court to consider. The first is to receive and file the auditor's report for the review of financial and system controls for Constable Precinct 7, which you also have the response attached. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions. Otherwise, we'd ask you to receive and file that.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And the second item is also related to Constable 7, but it's asking that you receive and file the auditor's report on the fiscal year 2018 Chapter 59 asset forfeited reports for law enforcement agency as prepared by Constable 7. And that report has been filed with the state agency.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Wilder.
Good morning, Judge, members of the court.
Good morning.
I'm requesting today an additional employee, a grade 15 employee, to assist us in staffing the new 4D child support court that the court has already approved. We'd like to go ahead and get that approval today. We cannot open a new court without additional staffing. I know it's Judge Evans' intent to try to make this a part-time court, but even with that, we normally have 2 people per court, so I'm asking for 1 instead of 2, but frankly I have doubts that this will wind up being a part-time court for various good reasons and long years of experience. We have had a big spike in the so-called 4D Attorney General cases. We were, just a few years ago, we were 11,000 cases and we're over 15,000 this year. This is the toughest section that I have as far as complexity. The bookkeeping is nightmarish, which we have to do all of that. We have a very specialized group of procedures that is different than any other section. It's even more complex than the tax section. So you have both federal, state, and local rules that have to be accommodated here. So I have a short presentation today, a 1-pager that I can give you, and then I have a longer presentation if you prefer, with staff here today to answer your questions. So at that, I will simply ask for the position.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. In your conversation with Judge Evans, I know we talked about this. Was this anticipated that we were going to be asking for 1?
Remember that when it was first brought up, when Judge Evans first addressed us, this happened in the budget cycle where we couldn't get it back into the 2019 budget. So we said we would bring this back to you either in late December or January when we could analyze how many positions that we might need. And we've been working with the clerk's office, and we believe that this position is necessary. We thought that there would be some expenditures on this. We didn't know exactly how much, because there's an expenditure that will occur here, and then probably the sheriff's department will come with a request for a bailiff also. So we had always known that the cost to this county would be somewhere around $85,000 to $100,000. The good part of that, though, is that it gives us an extra half court here that can handle some of the extra caseload that Mr. Walters is speaking of. And we're in support of Mr. Walters' request.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to receive and file the personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning.
We have one additional item, that's item 2. We're asking the court to approve a waiver of terminal benefits for information technology as described in your court communique. We're requesting, or Mr. Iafor is requesting a waiver of 400 vacation hours effective January 1st of next year. His office manager is retiring at the end of this year with 400 vacation hours. We're estimating the impact to the general fund to be a little bit more than $2,200. That does include fringe benefits.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Chris?
Good morning, Your Honor, court members.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have 2 items for your consideration this morning. The first one is requesting the Commissioner's Court to approve payment of 2 payments for econet.com Incorporated for Sentinel Intrusion Prevention Systems Advanced Monthly Service.
That's the second item, but I move approval.
Second.
I got a question. Chris, I think that invoice is like 90 days old. Is that normal?
Yes. What is not normal. This invoice we received. We had some challenges with the verification of those invoices. And we also had a few other issues related to the typical year-end closing. There's another one along the same lines.
Is there any penalty that we are going to owe for paying it late?
No, sir.
Yeah. What happened was that we thought there might be a double bill. And so it took about a week or so for us to sort that out. And quite frankly, we simply didn't move it through the system fast enough. And we missed the window. And that's something that we're trying to correct in IT to get these things up in a more appropriate time so that we can pay these things. But basically, we've got a couple of them today that we missed the window that was expected by purchasing, and rightly so. And we tried some corrective actions now to make sure this doesn't happen again. Can't promise that, but we're working on it.
Okay.
I guarantee you that IT is not the only place in the county where this happens.
Understand.
Well, hopefully it's not happening very often.
We have 4 items today. There's a lot of requisitions that come through that, but we've now hired a deputy CIO that's been charged with correcting this. Also, we now have we finally have hired our financial manager. I think he's been on now for 2 weeks, Chris?
Yes, sir. He's been here for about 2 weeks.
And so we're staffing up and we're making sure that they understand that we need to police us better than we have been.
Do we, along the lines, and Commissioner Brooks, I agree with what you're saying, do we, in the auditor's office, do we ever pay any penalties for not paying on time?
It's rare. Most companies don't try to assess those, but if we had clearly violated or gone beyond the Prompt Payment Act and had not paid and it's been received, then yes, we would pay those.
I would like to know any time we pay something and we have to pay a late penalty.
And that's for any department?
Any department.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
And I would encourage departments to make certain that their contracts adequately contain language referencing the Prompt Payment Act and not related to the vendor's terms. We try to watch for that, but occasionally we miss it, which then causes us to have to try to be more prompt in those. But the 30 days is usually enough. And I would encourage, with the cell discussion, I would encourage departments to remember to try to make sure that that gets included in their contract.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're also making sure that we don't get all these renewals due on the first day of the new fiscal year's budget. Because one of the challenges we have is that these are all due like October 1, and it just doesn't give enough window to process this. But several things are being done to, including automating our invoice
contracts
processing.
like that, Chris, should be something that's not an issue. That shouldn't be the issue. What you're talking about is you received something and it should have been checked in and it should have then gone, and I'm talking about this with everybody. I mean, if you got an annual contract that renews, that's a pretty simple, should be a pretty simple deal to get done and get ready to go through the process. If you're receiving documents in and it takes, you first off check it in and then you send that on, that shouldn't take 90 days to get it worked out. And again, we've heard, I'm just saying, if we're in the future, if we're paying penalties, I want to know why.
Well, and I would just add, since we're on this discussion, that the people in my office who work in accounts payable, not me personally, but the people who work in accounts payable, work very, very hard because we have trouble with a lot of departments on receiving the sign-off on invoices and their receivers being entered and their service order entry sheets being entered. And so again, I would encourage, since we've had this discussion, that departments remember that in order for us to pay for the stuff and pay for it timely, we do need their cooperation. And eventually, I know when I first came here, Mr. Gibson would tell me that we had trouble getting vendors who wanted to do business with us because we didn't pay. We had a history of being very slow pay. And it can be very time-consuming, though, on my folks' part to track everybody down and try to get them to enter their stuff. And yes, we were having a real problem with IT in the past, and we've sat down and worked with them and have put some things in place that make that work well. But they're, again, not the only department by any means, no.
I guess my only thought is, and I'm not sure that this is going on in county government, but typically if you have a vendor and if you're a chronically slow paying client, there's a cost associated with that, and it typically gets added into their next proposal. They lay in another 2% or something like that because they know you're not going to pay in 60, 90 days, and they know you're not going to pay a penalty, so they just add it into the cost of their services. And I think it's very commonly done. So that's what you're paying more and you don't even really realize it because you're slow if they're not being handled properly. So.
But just so that we have some issues on some of our payments, but for the court's information, the vast amount of payments that the auditor's office makes, they make them within the 30-day window, and we do not slow pay except in some of these situations where there was a dispute or we have not been timely. I think what you've asked for, Judge, is a very reasonable request, and I think that will at least let the court know just how fast or how slow or how many there are that we deal with.
That's all I'm interested in.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our next item is we're requesting the court the Commissioners Court approved contract renewal with Carosoft Technology Corporation for the purchase of SAP maintenance.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Vinnie.
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the court.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Public Health has one item for you this morning. It is a request for approval of a laboratory data management user agreement or terms of use agreement between Tarrant County and Laboratory Corporation of America for our interface with the laboratory data management system.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Vinnie, that's a pretty outstanding shirt and tie you got on there.
I know. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Come on down, Mr. Beecham.
Did Arkansas get beat by anybody this week?
No, they didn't play anybody. They quit playing.
I feel pretty good today. We didn't play or lose this past weekend.
That's right.
And we're not going bowling, but there is a bowling alley in Fayetteville.
Yeah. You probably ought to stay away from that, too.
Yes, sir. We have 9 items for consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for RFP 2018-103. It's an annual contract for Unified Communications as a Service. Recommendation would be to award to General Data Tech per the terms of the contract. If approved, we're also seeking contract approval from the court.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2 is another bid award recommendation for bid 2018-174. This is a bid for door and lock replacement at the Tarrant County Correction Center. A recommendation would be to award the low bidder, Cornerstone Detention Products Incorporated, amount of $1,975,430. If this item is approved, we're seeking contract approval as well as acceptance of the payment and performance bond.
That's a lot of locks, man.
Yes, sir.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3 is another bid award recommendation for bid 2018-175. This is a bid for generator replacement at the Green Bay Jail Facility. Recommendation would be toward the low bidder, Fort Worth Electric, amount of $142,342. If the court approves this, we're seeking contract approval, again, acceptance of the payment and performance bond.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Number 4, bid award recommendation for bid 2019-001. This is annual contract for landscape services and supplies. Recommendation would be to award to low bidder, the only bidder, C Greenscaping, on a per hourly labor rate and materials discount off list price.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 5, also a bid award recommendation for bid 2019-012. This annual contract for monitoring services, burglary, fire and safes. Recommendation would be to award on per enterprise basis, select as our primary vendor, Interface Security, our secondary vendor, Fire Safety Solutions.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 6 is a bid award recommendation for bid 2019-014. This annual contract for the purchase of police package vehicles. Our recommendation would be to order per enterprise basis, awarding to the 12 primary vendors as shown in your court communique. I handed out earlier a listing of the 53 entities that are buying off this contract. This is one of our largest utilized contracts within our purchasing process in the county. Our county expenditures last year were $521,780. We were already getting calls on this contract from these folks. This is a pretty heavily utilized contract.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
In a comment, side comment, we are 12 entities away from hitting the 500 club. Entities that are piggyback with Tarrant County buying off our contracts and services. Number 7 item is a bid award recommendation for bid 2019-024, signing a contract for the purchase of a single drum vibratory padfoot compactor. Recommendation be to award on a per enterprise basis, awarding to the 2 primary vendors as shown in the court communique.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 8, bid award recommendation for bid 2019-052, sale of recycled paper. Recommendation to award to the high bidders on a per enterprise basis. Evergreen Fiber Sales buying our Gaylords of books and newsprint at $10.15 a ton. And our sorted office paper being awarded to Bottom Line Recycling, which is a new vendor, for $220 a ton.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Last item in regards to bid 2019-028, signing a contract for lumber and building materials. We are recommending rejection of the one bid that we received and asking that we be allowed to rebid with revised specifications.
Did we rebid this a few months ago?
Yes, sir. This is a very low dollar contract. If we don't get a better response this time, we'll probably just quote that out since it's way below the $50,000 threshold.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Interlocal agreement. Commissioner Wynn.
Yes, I move for approval of item 8N 1A through H. These are interlocal agreements with the city of Mansfield.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any appointments today? There being none, we have some certificates, I believe, that we need to approve.
Yes, Your Honor, if I could just read these off and get a single motion after I finish them. These are certificates of self-insurance by Tarrant County and Louisville Bond. The first one is for J.D. Johnson, Precinct 4 ex officio road commissioner. The second one is for J.D. Johnson for Precinct 4 commissioner. The next one is for B. Glenn Whitley for the county judge. The next one is for Don Pearson, who is a county court at law number 1 judge. The next one is for Jennifer Reimel, who is a county court at law number 2 judge. The next one is Michael Harbaugh, who is the county court at law number 3 judge. The next one is for David Cook, county criminal court number 1 judge. The next one is for Kerry Walker, county criminal court number 2 judge. The next is for Robert McCoy, county criminal court number 3 judge. The next one is for Deborah Neekum, county criminal court number 4 judge. Next will be Jamie Cummings, county criminal court number 5 judge. Next will be Molly Jones, county criminal court number 6 judge. The next will be Cheryl Hardy, county criminal court number 7 judge. The next will be Charles Vanover, county criminal court number 8 judge. And Brent Carr, county court number 9 judge. Phil Sorrows, county criminal court number 10 judge. Ralph Swearingen Jr., JP Precinct 1. Mary Tom Cernut, JP Precinct 2. Sergio De Leon, JP Precinct 5. Lisa Woodard, JP Precinct 8. And Sharon Wilson, Criminal District Attorney. I ask that you approve these.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Is there not a problem with me voting on something for myself?
You should abstain for the one for yourself.
So the motion was to approve all of them except for me.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Maybe we want to do mine first, and then I'll see if we want to do all the rest of them. Motion passes unanimously.
So did you bring your checkbook today?
Move approval for Judge Whitley's certificate.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes 3 with 1 abstention, so please show that I did not vote and I abstain from this vote.
Thank you, Honor Member.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have 2 items to bring to you this morning. The first deals with the tax abatement on Arlington Commons development. Ms. McMillan is here to lay it out for you.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Developer.
Excuse me one second. I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna apologize to David Bossy because he had asked for an audience participation.
But he did not wish to address the court. He just submitted the document.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see that part of it. Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. Developer Robert Kimball from the Arlington Commons LLC, as you may know, is redeveloping approximately 23 acres along East Lamar Boulevard between Rolling Hills Country Club and Lincoln Drive in Arlington. The project includes the demolition and redevelopment of 4 substandard former apartment complexes and the redevelopment of this area with a multi-phase and multi-use project that will in total provide for construction of approximately 1,300 new high-end apartments. The first phase of this development, Phase 1A, was approved for tax abatement by the county in 2015, and it was recently completed and started leasing in October of this year, bringing online 353 new apartment units. The 10-year tax abatement for this project will begin in 2019. The developer is now prepared to move forward with the next phase of the redevelopment, Phase 1C, and is requesting county assistance at the same level as the Phase 1A project, which was a maximum of 70% from the county and 50% for the hospital district. The Phase 1C of this project will provide development of an additional 358 high-end units, parking structure, and other amenities. Bob Kimball is here to provide an update on the Phase 1A development and the Phase 1C of project moving forward. So I'm going to ask Bob to come forward.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Judge, Commissioner's Court. Good morning. How do I go forward? Arrow, I'm guessing?
Arrow down.
Arrow down, okay. Thanks for the coaching. First of all, I would just like to say thank you. The support that we've had in Tarrant County for our redevelopment projects has been significant and very important. We take that responsibility of being a good steward of the resources that you're entrusting with us very seriously. We have committed to make an effort in Tarrant County, both in value creation side and also reinvestment back into the community, and we hope we're honoring that in the way we're approaching our business, both in the value creation side and the other aspects of participating. We're honored and humbled that you would continue to support our efforts. The vision for this place was to bring some market rate housing back to Arlington. It had been a long time, 20 years probably at a minimum. This is the first pure kind of market rate multi that's been done. The abatement program helped us be able to do it, both architecturally and with structured parking, things that the city wanted to make sure that 30 years from now, this project could continue to be high quality and reinvent itself. We have sold Phase 1. The assignment of the tax abatement agreements on Phase 1A, our goal is to hold on to the rest of the next 3 phases. We qualified because of the success of Phase 1. In Phase 2, 1C, we qualified for HUD 221D4 financing, which will give us a 42-year financing at a fixed rate to protect us from rate increases. So we're very excited about that, and we expect to break ground with Phase 1C in March. We're finishing the process with HUD, which has been a year-long process, and we're close to the finish line with them. The sale of Phase 1 capitalizes Phase 2 and beyond. So it was, and it also proves up to the Moritz family, which provided the capital, that in fact the economics of what we proposed worked. And so it's always nice to see it actually happen. So there's a bigger picture of what's going on in North Arlington. The AV lift of the neighborhoods in that area, the participation with the school district. You might remember that this is probably one of the few, if any, multifamily projects a school district has ever issued a letter of support of. And the project of the elementary school of the Laura and Jimmy Jones Academy right behind Arlington Commons has been very successful, and the rebuilding of the new elementary school at Peach. So it really is a team of the school district, the city, the county, and our company and the other stakeholders. Our ability to grow as a company, the amount of jobs that have been provided has been significant, and we continue to look for additional projects with the theories that we have. With the sale of Phase 1, we'll also be able to capitalize the new Nehemiah Builds Foundation. We're really excited about that. We want you to hold us accountable on our commitment to reinvest in the community, and that's a real tangible effort as we capitalize that entity to create an endowment. So when we're done, the programs that we're doing in the inner city can continue after our work career is over. And we no longer have influence with contractors who help support those efforts. So that's our goal over the next 20 years, is to continue to build that endowment. The project is beautiful. The quality of the architecture, it's really worked well. The AV lift, just through construction, the AV number came in at about $38 million. All the complexes we took down collectively were at $10 million. So just with Phase 1 alone, we expect that next year's AV number in January will be more in the 50+ million range, 55. So it's been a 500% increase with just one phase in the AV growth. So the economics are quite compelling, and we expect to see that continue as we move through the project. We've actually been quite surprised at the demographic we're attracting back. It was split between kind of the 30-year young professionals, which you expect, but the number of retirees and seniors that are on the other end of the spectrum has frankly surprised us. We didn't design units for that, but they are supporting the effort. They live in the area, and they want to sell their house and pull their equity out, and this provides them an opportunity for that. So these are just some images of 1A. The city provided additional funding for a linear park in that area, and that's under construction now, so you get an opportunity to go by and take a look at it. It's really evolving quite nicely. These are just some of the details of how we're structured in 1A, what the leasing looked like. We were surprised at the velocity. The leasing in the peak months got up into the 40 and 50 units a month. Leasing activity with zero concessions. Some of the other areas of town, I think, have experienced some pretty significant concessions recently due to oversupply. We're certainly not oversupplied in Arlington. We're really it. There's the 101 Center, which is more geared towards students in downtown Arlington, and then Arlington Commons. So we are bringing back a demographic in Arlington that was moving elsewhere. So the city is obviously pleased. You can see Phase 1A in context with Phase 1C, and we'll move on down Lamar. We've been given some timelines in our agreements with the City of Arlington, and we are on track on those timelines to continue to march forward with the Commons. We're going to introduce the Nehemiah Coffee Company with Phase 2. So that little out parcel is a coffee cafe. It's actually connected on the second floor. It'll have co-working space. It's about 7,000 square feet. We hope that it will be a community gathering place where people of all ages can come and share their ideas. It'll be a family atmosphere, and we just want people to come and hang out there.
Market rate coffee.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Market rate coffee. Well, hopefully we'll be Urban Alchemy, which is we've hired them to manage it. Tony Rutigliani, who was the downtown Arlington, and we're going to have Mad Mike's ice cream and a local pastry vendor in Arlington, so we're using all local Arlington, Tarrant County.
That's great.
Yeah, we're super excited about it. So if you've got $4, we'll take it.
You can
That's
get a-
below, that's
you can
below
get a cup
Starbucks
of coffee.
market, so
Yeah, we're a big discount firm. So we're excited about
that
1C.
includes the pastry as well as the ice cream and everything for that $4, right?
Go to Quick Trip.
We have package deals for you, Judge. We'll have the Whitley special, and we'll put that at the top. The 1C, what we learned is people want places. They'll put up with small, high quality for good community gathering and amenities and spaces. And so we're trying to create those for the folks that live here. And frankly, for the community, all the park spaces out on Lamar are public. And we do that both at Meridian and here. We want to be a good neighbor to the whole community, not just the micro community inside. So you'll see we'll finish the whole public park system along with Phase 2. We'll complete the rest of that work. The city has provided extensive funding for that. So we're building it on their behalf, but they're providing the funding for the park system. Yes, it is a public park. Anybody, it'll have places for food trucks, and we really want to create an environment where the whole community can come and gather here over time for special events. So that's where we're headed with it. That's the leasing office. You can begin to see how the linear park integrates, and that's under construction. Now will be completed within the month, so you can see the first phase of the park being installed. Lots of indoor-outdoor spaces. That's the internal amenity situation here for these residents. That's the coffee shop. It'll have second floor outdoor space and 2 outdoor spaces on the ground with a dog park behind it. It'll have a drive-through tucked in through all that, believe it or not. 2-story with co-working space on the second floor. It's 7,000 square feet. An average Starbucks is like 1,200 square feet. So it'll be a large space.
He's selling a lot of coffee.
That's the hope. The coffee shop's really an amenity to the overall project. So we just want to sell enough coffee to pay the rent, and we'd be happy. But getting local businesses that are entrepreneurial and giving them another outlet to help strengthen their business elsewhere is part of our target. So all 3 of both the Urban Alchemy team, the Mad Mike's team, and the pastry team are all local, and this will give them another outlet for their product to help promote their business. And we think that's a really good way to grow small business in Arlington with these kinds of joint venture projects. That's the linear park. That's the first phase on the west side. The left side of the slide is what's under construction now. The balance of it will get built with Phase 2. That's just a focus on the. So that's the update. We're continuing to execute on the vision that we brought you a few years ago. It's working. We have definitely put Arlington back on the radar screen for the capital markets world. It was frankly off the radar screen for a long time, and obviously what's going on in the entertainment district has been hugely helpful to us. We're seeing a lot of Lockheed people, Bell people, Texas Live people, GM people, and Texas Health Resources people. So it's been interesting, just the cross-section of all this employment growth in Arlington has been making their young people have been making their home.
What's the rate on a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom?
The average rents are about $1.80 a square foot. The small 2-bedrooms are little micro units. They feel like they're 700 square feet, but they're 560 square feet. Those are $2.
Both of those sound pretty small.
Yeah, when you see it and when you go through the model, I ask people how many square feet is this, and they'll say 700. And when I tell them 560, they're like, no way. So it's great design. The architects did a great job. And so there's a real movement towards these micro units so that you can keep the nominal dollar down but give people a high quality living environment and to make it more affordable for folks. So, that's the reality. We're seeing it around the country and in Meridian even with the, smaller lots. So you can have a higher quality experience and still afford to live there. So I think you're going to see more of this from us. Smaller units, high quality living environment.
I applaud you for the quality and the attention to neighborhood and local economic development that you bring to your projects. And I'd like to talk with you about some opportunities in Fort Worth and southwest Tarrant County.
We are very excited about adding. We really have a heart for affordable. One of the problems with what we do is gentrification, frankly, and you need renewal. So we're starting to go into this tax credit world to try and understand how maybe we can bring our expertise to another business line. So we would love to talk to you about that. And the Viridian concepts, we want to bring those to other communities where you don't segment people by income level. The beauty of Viridian is everyone that lives there, all different phases of life, but we all share the same parks and streets and amenities. We don't have all the wealthy guys behind a gate. You know, the young families starting out in apartments and townhomes are living on the same street with the folks that are a little later in their career. And we know that if we're going to fulfill our mission, we're going to have to look at some other options on how we do affordable and bring the same quality of life to affordable. So that's our challenge coming up.
You should talk with, if you haven't already, talked with Patricia Ward, our housing person sitting right over there. Raise your hand, Patricia.
Patricia.
And because that tax credit area is something that we're beginning to look more and more to.
Yeah, it's new for us, so we're going to school now to try to understand it.
I would encourage you to take a more expansive view of the opportunities in Tarrant County Precinct 1. Yes, we need affordable housing, but we need housing at every income level in Precinct 1. I've got some deals for you.
Yes, sir. We'll have to hire some more people. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
So, Commissioners, we plan to bring back next week a tax abatement agreement for the Phase 1C portion of the Arlington Commons program. And now I'd like to move back to item 8A2. I wanted you to have an update on the project before we ask for your action on this. We are requesting that the Commissioners Court approve the consent to the assignment of the tax abatement agreement for the Arlington Commons Development Phase 1A, which is assigning all rights and obligations under the agreement to Lamar Circle Owner LLC and authorize the county judge or his designee to execute the consent to assignment document. As I mentioned, the tax abatement starts in January of 2019. Through the process, Nehemiah Company and Arlington Commons is then assigning this tax abatement to the new owner, and then that capital from the sale will be going to the development of the next phase of the project. However, the current owner-operator will still manage all the project phases.
And all of the covenants
are the same. Everything remains in place.
You're putting this into another company, but you're still managing it and operating it?
Palladium out of New York is acquiring the equity interest from Moritz, so I have a new owner to deal with, but we are retaining management of it. Now we have to perform. If we don't perform, they can terminate us, but we are going to remain the manager of the project. And they're excited about looking to do more with us. So it's another capital source for us that's long-term, and it frees up the capital that we had in Phase 1 to roll over into Phase 2. Our goal and our plan is on Phase 2, we're keeping it. So we're putting 42-year financing with HUD on Phase 2, and Moritz has agreed to allow us to keep Phase 2. So that's what's happening.
Is there a prohibition, or is there anything in the sale to the next owner that if they condominiumize or whatever you would say that abatement does not transfer with that? Because we've been pretty careful about the fact we're giving you the abatement to develop and do that, but then if you turn around and break everything up and now start selling individual units to individual owners, then you're now in a more competitive situation, because now all of a sudden, these people are not paying taxes that the condominium right across the street might be paying.
The tax abatement agreement is with a single owner. So even if they condo, that's not what the project is for. It's for a certain owner, specific owner, and it's for apartments. So they would be in default of the agreement if that happened. That's why we have to approve right now this assignment to this new entity owner, but any future transfer of ownership would have to come back before the court again to be approved.
So the new owner will not be able to sell with the abatement attached unless they come back to court?
Correct. Correct.
And they're precluded from selling any segments within that deal?
Correct. It's for an apartment project.
I understand that, but I don't want to wake up and read in the paper that we've got some people who are getting abatements and others are not when it comes from that perspective.
Under the agreement, that is not.
That cannot happen.
Cannot happen.
Okay.
I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Bob.
We have one final item to bring to the court this morning. This is an update from Visit Fort Worth. Mitch Whitten is here to address the court at this time.
Thanks, Judge. Thanks, Commissioners. My name is Mitch Whitten. I'm Executive Vice President of Visit Fort Worth. It's my first time to be in front of you, even though my wife, Kristen Sullivan, and I have lived in Tarrant County for 25 years now. But we are here simply to say thank you for a project you helped us with that helped us advance tourism and is part of a larger plan. But let me explain. First of all, as you know well, tourism is big business in Tarrant County. It's more than a $6 billion industry with more than 30 million visitors coming through our county in various cities. But in Fort Worth, something was missing. And so several years ago, we created the Fort Worth Film Commission because there was no one to coordinate when people called and said, we want to film here, we want to bring jobs here, we want to bring investment. It's been a long time since Walker Texas Ranger's been around these parts. Yeah. So we created this commission and we started getting results, and Tarrant County really delivered with one of our most signature projects. A couple of weeks ago, you may have seen that a new movie came out starring Robert Redford and Sissy Spacek called The Old Man and the Gun. And even though Texas originally lost the bid for this because Ohio offered greater state incentives, some of the things you helped put on the table and the offer of hospitality in Tarrant County meant that they came back because we had some facilities they needed and some help that they required to finish the movie. Of course, Mr. Redford has announced that it was probably his last film as an actor. And he spent that he was probably the last occupant of your old jail based on that filming. But really, they had come back to town. They said they needed 3 days, and because of your help, they spent more than 3 weeks. And this means they hired hundreds of local people, spent money in our restaurants, spent money in our hotels to finish this movie. You offered up the county jail facilities, old county offices. Tarrant County College has been helpful. On other projects, UT Arlington has been helpful, and we want to say thank you. And as a result, not only did Fort Worth get recognition from the producers who are now sending additional projects our way, but the #1 publication in the entertainment industry, Variety, published an article last month that said Fort Worth was a great place to film in, and Tarrant County was helpful to some pretty signature directors and producers. You know, the Fort Worth Film Commission has helped more than 1,000 projects in its first 3 years. And each one of those requires time. But that has resulted in 300 projects that have filmed here. And we're on pace for about a $5 million annual economic impact in those jobs and investment here. Now, on Bob Jameson's team, this is part of a larger plan to increase tourism, working closely with cities like Grapevine and Arlington and others. We have a destination master plan. We lag behind the national average in how long people stay here and how much they spend when they visit. They're visiting, but we want them to stay longer and spend more. And the Film Commission is part of our plan to raise the visibility of Tarrant County and to bring visitors here and bring that kind of recognition. So in brief, just wanted to say thank you. You have been a big help. We'll be back with other projects, but would entertain any questions.
Well, I know that we've talked, in fact, I talked with Bob a little bit this last week. About a year or so ago, I strongly encouraged Arlington and Fort Worth, and I've had groups from Northeast. I'd suggest that you look at that about creating, for reasons that, they call it South by Southwest, so I'll call it North by Northwest.
Yes.
That we should be able to duplicate to a much greater extent and much more successful than what Austin has done with South by Southwest. And I know that started out primarily as a music festival, but it is now expanded far beyond just the musical part of it.
Yeah.
And I really hope that as Fort Worth, you had your booth down there, I know this last year, that as you do that into the future, that you include Arlington, that you include other parts of Tarrant County, because I believe we've got far greater venues, much better infrastructure to move people around, and I hope you'll move forward with that rapidly.
Thanks for the suggestion. With all that we have to offer here, the technology coming on board with UT Arlington, all that they have to offer, we've been in talks with them, and so point well taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's all we have at this time.
Then we'll recess our open meeting, proceed to close to discuss items exempt under section 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code.
Oops, we lost one.
Having returned from our closed session, there being no business to conduct at this time, we are adjourned.
Thank you.